interested in seeing that tall Walteria sponge. So it's like a tower.
It's come out full wide.
It has some sort of animal living inside of it, right here on the left side, upper left side.
Okay, all right, come back to it. I'm sorry, you said upper left?
Yep.
Okay.
It's that sort of long tongue-like sponge with lots of hairs coming off of it.
You got it. Tilt up a bit video for you.
Wow.
It's a nice shot of
So
that.
not only is this community here quite dense, it's also has a lot of diversity. It's beautiful.
Have we got enough tether for you there?
You have plenty.
Okay. All right. I don't want to set down here video because I don't want to crush any of these creatures. So let's go in from here and see what we can do.
Okay. Yeah, we want to see what kind of sociotes are living on this sponge. So this is a type of glass sponge in the family Euplectellidae. Its name is Walteria. We're calling this particular type of Walteria Flemingi. You can tell Flemingi because it looks like a lattice that's crisscrossing.
I'm so sorry, Tom. These white things are ophiurids and not arthropods. Yeah, I see that.
They're not isopods, but I think I saw a shrimp lower down. So we have a lot of brittle stars hanging out in this Walteria sponge. And the shrimp...
You never see the kilo of those shrimp. I mean, they could be alpheus. They could be like a synalpheus or something, if we could see them better.
Well, it's hard to see him since he's living inside this sponge. These shrimp, they come and they start living inside the sponge, and they get too big, and they can't escape again through the holes of the sponge, so they sort of end up living their entire lives inside these sponges.
Sorry, video. Let's come out full wide, please.
Is it possible to focus on that shrimp since it's so open, this sponge?
Well, we can't land here, so getting a stable video will be quite difficult. There's so much life in this area. There's not a lot of space to land.
Can you tilt up a bit, Dave? Thanks. I think there's... I can maybe get one toe down.
There was a small worm-like thing on the sponge. I was wondering if that could have been an aplecophoran. Is that a possibility?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's an aplecophoran.
Camera's not responding.
For those of you who aren't familiar with the term aplecophoran, it means it's related to a snail, but it does not have a shell. So it's in the
Okay, let's come in.
Mollusca phylum. So related to snails and clams, but it does not have a shell.
Purple one.
Yeah, there's a purple coral in the background, likely to be a Victoria gorgia.
Was there anything particular on this sponge, Megan?
That red one with the
shrimp,
greenish tins that's out of focus, that could be Swifty, just looking at it, but that's an unusual one to see. So before they move away, if maybe they could do a zoom out after the sponge here.
Pretty bad. It's going in and out.
Yeah, come out a bit, yeah. Just
okay.
A bit. Come in.
Thank you. Can't see the kilo.
Cooperating, is he?
Yeah, I guess the way the shrimp is oriented in this sponge, you can't see its front arms very well that have the claws, and that's what we call chelipeds.
Okay, let's come out.
So I think last cruise, didn't we collect a Walteria sponge with a pair of shrimp living in it? So could we also zoom on this colony right in the bottom left?
Sure, we're just going to do a quick pilot swap.
All right. For those folks at home, before we zoom in on anything else, we're going to do a quick pilot swap. So is there anything to say notable about the geology here, John? What are we seeing on the bottom?
Well, it's not terribly exciting. It's up halfway up the slope on the track to short in the dive, so it's a little lower slope than I expected at this point in the volcanic flank. It's low relief, intact lava flows. These are kind of pillowed and lobate flows, kind of undulating, as you can see off into the distance. There's a good bit of sediment in between these lobes, and also a lot of talus broken rock.
Once we get settled, can we zoom that fish?
Fish, yes. Let's get that quick.
So there's good substrate for the corals and sponges to live on all these intact features.
Okay, you can start in as we get closer.
So we're seeing
this is a halosaur type of fish. You know, the halosaur is a type of fish that we see often. We're looking at its belly, its underside. I can tell it's a halosaur because of the shape of the snout, the underslung mouth, the long eel-like body, the long fin on the tail. It's got two sets of paired fins. It's got the fins on the side sticking out, and there are also a pair of fins on the belly that the true eels don't have. Now it's turning, and we can see it's got a short fin on its back. This looks like an Aldrovandia, but we really need to see the top of the head to be sure, because the presence or absence of scales on top of the head are the identifying character. And the darkish color indicates that it's probably Aldrovandia phylacra, halosaur. So we often see these at the step, hovering in the water, but they're not to feed on animals on the bottom, actually with that underslung mouth.
Drop in.
So we'll see if it has scales. I can't quite tell with the lighting if it's got scales on top of its head or not. Maybe you can see that better on the ship.
I think it might have scales on its nose. We're zooming in now.
Let it come
It
in.
doesn't look as translucent as Aldrovandia usually does, but I'm also not seeing distinct scaling pattern. But the top of the snout is more brown, like it does have scales. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you're right. And now the other thing that I see is the rows of scales. The row of scales along the lower part of the side. The scales are relatively small. Aldrovandia has enlarged scales in that area. So I think I was totally wrong about my guess for the identification. I think this is in the genus Halosaurus. And I don't know what species this would be because the 2015 Okeanos expedition was the first time that this genus had been reported from the Central Pacific. So we reevaluate our identifications as we see things better. We make our guesses, and then when we see more characters, we do a reevaluation. So now I think it's the genus Halosaurus.
Wow. Wow, yeah, that's really exciting.
Okay, I guess we'll let him go.
So we'll let this fish go and continue exploring this area that we landed in.
Awesome. Nice work. Thanks.
There's so much coral around in this area that we need to look at.
Let me get you back to
and there appears to be a starfish that's possibly eating a coral. There's another fish swimming in the background.
Another fish in the background. I don't see.
It's between those two long whip corals.
Okay. Oh yes, now I see it. We'll check and see if it's more of the same. Snap in.
I think this is a different fish for you, Bruce.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this is a different, totally different family. Different order of fishes. This is one of the grenadiers that I mentioned when we were talking about what we would hope to see. It's in the family Mercuridae. They're also called rat tails. They're relatives of the codfishes.
Leave it there, I'll come up to
I'm looking for scales on this thing, see if it has scales on the head or not. It looks like it does. It could be in the genus Coryphonoides, although the snout is very rounded. My first guess would have been in the genus Kumba, but I'm a little unsure. I don't know if Chris Kelly is still on, if he has any thoughts about what this would be.
No, Chris left and doesn't have an opinion. Boy, I don't know, Bruce. I was going to go to Kumba also until that close-up, and then I got a little bit confused, just like you did.
Pilot? Neff?
Can we take
a... That's all I can say.
Let's start.
Tracking looks decent.
Fuzzy on the right. The black coral bathy looking style, or the... Okay. It's got branching.
When you guys get
so there's a very sort of deep red coral that's sort of coming into center view right now. It's kind of small, right? Kind of above. It's got an opie right in the middle of it.
Come around. So
there are some other really deep ones.
No,
like
I know
this.
from the planning meetings,
it may be just
you
the
can
lighting,
see off to the east is a steep drop.
Type of hemicorallium.
To the west is a flat.
Again, there are so many.
So the idea was to find kind of the edge. Most of the times there's a sharp edge with higher currents.
Yeah, we're going to do a snap swim on this black coral.
Thanks. Zoom on in. Zoom in. Can you? Do I? Oh, I don't. They didn't have a keyed video. Let me fix that after.
And I'm also seeing a Chrysogorgid and an Anthomastus.
So,
I'm not sure that this is the one
So
who was
co-pilot, does that mean that we may not necessarily take a straight shot
Is
at
this
the
not the one you were looking for?
That's that's the one I'm looking for.
Okay.
You are.
So, possibly a Trissopathes, definitely a black coral.
that's right, Nav.
Copy that.
And then behind it, we're seeing an Anthomastus and a Corallium coral, a pink coral. And then to the right, we're seeing a Chrysogorgid coral.
If we follow the local up, we should end up like where the B and boat is.
Okay, yeah, can we get a quick tight in on this?
Where the 2060, or maybe to...
I'm not kind of far away.
Anyway, you can see where the center of the ridge is.
I think that's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So...
And then I'd like to take a look at the Chrysogorgid coral to the right.
Might take some time
it seems
to
to be
find it.
associates.
It could be kind of messy over there.
All
so
right.
Okay.
Ask.
Hang tight here for a second. Get some good
Copy
video
that.
of this.
Huge power.
We'll confer with the pilot here when he's ready.
What are you conferring with the pilot?
Just our next position movement that we'd like to take. He was saying we'd like to try to locate and follow the ridge if possible.
Okay.
So Bruce, in the Sirius view, I'm seeing a fish.
Okay.
It looks like it might be that same occurrence. But if you want to take a look at the way it's swimming.
You know, there's a steep drop here.
Yeah.
So there's likely a sharp edge somewhere here.
Oh, okay.
So the ridge top should be about here, but then the sharp edge should be about here.
Very
I don't know what that would be. A ship length apart anyway.
Okay.
So we have the option to either just keep going uphill to find the ridge top or try to stay farther east on that
Okay.
edge.
I'm okay with either. I guess
Yeah.
just watch.
Finding the edge would be a little more awkward because we'll kind of have to go along the slope a bit till we find.
So now we're panning over to the Chrysogorgid coral, likely in the genus Chrysogorgia. On this coral, there are a lot of associates. Seeing some amphipods.
Watch leads leader would be
Those
wherever
are
the
those
most life is that we can
small
move quickly to.
little shrimp-like creatures that are perched on the branches. There are some crinoids.
We're in a good spot.
And
anyway.
I think I might see some small gastropods as well.
Co-pilot, do you like your sonar where it's at, or would you like me to shrink it in?
Can shrink it in one.
Down to 50?
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you.
No problem.
Is there any shot you'd like on this video?
Video?
Just get a sweet.
I think we're good on this.
Okay.
Let's try to see as much as we can before we need to leave this area.
Yeah, so just so you know, the ship is not moving at the moment. So we're going to hang here for as long as you need, and then we will move.
Okay, that sounds good. I think the next thing I would like to take a look at is on the upper left-hand corner, there's a little terrace with what looks to be a different type of bamboo coral and perhaps a starfish.
Okay, go out to the sea star and bamboo coral.
Also like to keep an eye out for a loose rock around this area before we take off.
Okay.
There's some angular ones right here.
It's hard to tell exactly where, but this it looks like it's probably just crust here, right? All of this.
Yeah, kind of like too slabby right here.
We'll look for some better chunks.
Part of that.
Keep our eyes peeled. It's hard to tell what's what, but that looks like a crust to me.
Looks like he's doing sit-ups.
Oh, this sea star's giving us quite a pose here.
Yeah.
Looks like he's dancing.
It does look like it's dancing.
I think that's worth definitely a close-up when we get a chance.
Also looks like there might be something on it, or it's on something else.
I think he's, yeah, it does look
consuming a
he's
coral
on it, and he's gorging.
Yeah, perhaps it's feeding on a coral. So, interesting thing about starfish feeding is they actually expel their stomachs from their bodies and wrap it around whatever they're trying to eat.
So Megan, as they're zooming in on the sea star, you see that red, yellow coral that's right to the very right edge of the screen. I'm pretty sure that's Swiftia, and that's going to be a pretty unique observation. There's another one that's just in front of this bamboo as well.
Okay, yeah, we'll take a look at it.
Get one zoom on that species at some point, that'd be great.
Oh yeah, yeah, it does look like this starfish is eating this coral. I think it might be an Acanthogorgia coral, seeing as the polyps haven't closed up and are, even though the starfish is eating it, and you can see that the polyps have turned black.
Yeah.
So that happened when we brought the, we collected a coral like this on our first dive, and when we preserved it, it turned black when it was exposed to oxygen. So perhaps the same thing is happening as this starfish is digesting the coral. This starfish looks like it is an Astenactis. I'm making that identification based on these little protrusions all along the starfish. Is that Chris Ma?
It is.
Wonderful.
You guys have something, I think, that is first time today. This looks like, I see this, wait for it to, yeah.
Zoom in the gut, I guess.
If you can verify whatever it is it's feeding on, that would be great, because this is Astenactis. This is that, in one of those weird multi-armed sea stars in the family Mixapteridae. I think it's either got 6 or 7 rays in this area. We've never seen these feeding before, at least not here, and not sort of just natural. Yeah, okay, you're seeing the close-up now. This is Astenactis. This is a novel observation, and this is probably the first time that I've seen this species feeding. These were really rare animals. They were known only from maybe half a dozen specimens worldwide. One of those was associated with a single species, and they had never been. The thought of even seeing them alive was considered.
Chris is doing a pretty good
crazy.
description right now.
And then they started seeing them in Honolulu.
Yeah,
the Pearl people started seeing them, and they were misidentified.
Yeah, I had to turn it way up, but he's really excited.
And I think it's only recently that we started seeing these.
Never seen one eating before.
Pacific. Just very seldom. And there were at least 2 variants with different numbers of arms. And I said, this is the first time I've seen one feeding, and I think that.
You want the lasers?
Earlier, I think you pointed out that it has.
I turned them off for that scene shot before.
Extended and wrapped around. Oh wow, that's a gorgeous shot. It's feeding on the coral polyp,
Wow. Okay, so this is another family of sea stars that is yet again feeding on corals in the deep. We had previously seen only stony asteroids doing this mostly, and I've identified others from different parts of the world, but this is the first time I think I've seen active feeding on a coral from this area.
Awesome.
So this
so you can see what's
this
towards
makes
the right.
me really happy. In many ways, this is
I know they're
to me
looking for
much
something
more
in the bamboo coral.
More important than
You
simply
can zoom
seeing
out.
another new species. We're actually seeing something
full
that
wide.
you don't get from
See
trawl
what they're asking for.
activity. You can get a new
Actually,
species
what were you looking
from
for over
collecting
here?
specimens. You can't get this kind of like action photo in so much as a sea star has action. So
With the polyps closed
yeah,
there.
that's a great shot. If you ever get a chance to swing around to see how many arms it
on
has,
the smaller one on the
too,
rocks here.
I see 5. There's probably one more.
Yeah,
one or
okay.
two more.
All right.
So, but when you're done and you move on,
resituate it a little bit.
Another angle that you can catch, sort of a different number,
cobbly rock.
a different side, and how many arms.
For moving your to hold.
Outstanding. Thank you.
Yeah, Chris, it looks like this sea star is feeding on Canthogorgia
We can start in on this colony.
coral. I'm making that identification based on the fact that the coral is turned black as it's been fed on. And then in the chat, Chris Kelly said he could see the spines that are typical of Canthogorgia. And the polyps have not fully retracted, which is very typical of that genus as well.
Is this the colony you're looking for?
Yeah, that's the one.
I've
seen unusual examples
all closed up for business
of Astenactis doing feeding-like things, like aquarium observations and sort of feeding experiments. But I don't think I've ever actually seen it just naturally preying on something. That tells us a lot about what they're doing down here, and what else that they do other than move around.
Yeah, maybe as long as we're here, maybe I should move 10 meters closer.
Okay, so this is, I'm trying to figure out the coral here, and superficially it looks like a bubblegum coral.
We do that 10 meters at my heading?
I'm not really positive. It looks like it has yellow polyps that are retracted, and there are some yellow polyp red branch things here.
Are you pointing southwest?
Yeah, 2, 3, 5.
10 meters? Earlier, there's one that has the polyps out, I think, but anyone else have an opinion? Less or Sacco
Bridge
on this? So
go ahead,
I'm curious, and maybe it is just a paragorgia.
We'd like to put in a ship move,
lighting
please.
effect.
Sure.
10 meters. Bearing 235.
From this?
Nope. At 0.2 knots, please.
Copy that. That is 10 meters, bearing.
Well, I don't think
Is the one off to the left next to that yellow one?
2 knots.
That's correct.
Okay.
So I think I see one with the polyps out, so we're going to zoom on that.
I'm just going to shimmy in this little forest here to make sure.
And then I'm also seeing what I think is Paragorgia right behind this bamboo coral on the right side, making that identification based on the color and the sort of bubblegum-like balls at the ends of each one of the branches.
Ship move initiated, pilot.
Alright, start in here video. Try to get this coral with the orange polyps in the back.
So I think this is the same coral that we're zooming in now, Chris. It looks like it has yellow polyps. So would that make it Swiftia?
Right. And that's what that's what I thought it was. Swiftias, I think they're common in other places, maybe up in Alaska and some other locations, but they haven't been very well documented here in Hawaii, and at least this one type of Swiftia, basically the pigment's coming from the actual sclerites themselves. It's not coming from the tissue, so they're pretty interesting. And then the tissue itself, as you can see, has got this yellowish tinge. You just don't have very many red corals with yellow polyps down here, so it's very distinctive. Yeah, thank you very much. That's marvelous. And I think the other one was one of these that was closed up. I've never seen them closed up before. This is an unbelievable community here.
Anything else with this video?
There's so many different animals. It's quite amazing.
Yeah, I was part of the dive plan all the way.
It's just an anemone. Oh
yeah, there is an
right there.
You just didn't know it.
Yep, didn't know it.
Side. You can take a look if you like.
Punching away.
Whenever starfish are around.
Yeah, it's pointing the opposite way.
Wow, this is pretty.
Just looking at the.
Yeah, so I think this is a hormathiid anemone. So we collected one of these the other day when we came upon that very white paragorgid coral that we collected, and we grabbed a branch that had an anemone just like this on it.
Okay.
Go ahead, Bridge.
But it was a lot smaller, I think. Or was it?
It might have been. It might be about the same size, except it was closed up.
First move is
this one's open.
Right.
Thank you.
And then I also see an aplacophorin on that coral as well.
Coral over this way.
So this bamboo off to the right looks a bit different than the one that we saw right when we landed.
This fan one here, right?
Yeah,
the
this
lasers
fan
are
one.
touching it now. Okay.
So the lasers that you see in view are 10 centimeters, or about 4 inches apart, and that will give you a sense of scale of how large this coral fan is. This is a bamboo coral in the family Isididae.
Thanks, guys. Have a good dive. I'll chime in later.
All right, thank you.
But I'll be on chat room if you need me.
Awesome. I'll let you know when we see something cool.
Video, you can zoom here.
So we're looking for the branching here, if it is branching at the nodes or the internodes, or where those black
I'm gonna scan down the
pieces
are. See a node.
See if we can find some nodes. So it might be difficult to see on this coral.
Spot, but I don't see a node anywhere near it.
The base is usually a good place to look.
Right.
Go to the thicker portion.
It's not at a node. That one is.
So I think this might be nodal. Right behind this paragorgid here, I'm seeing a branch at a node. Let's pan along the colony and see if there's any associates.
Okay. We'll come out a little, see what we can see.
Two lower left.
Lower left? Oh yeah, there's a star lower left.
Yeah, let's check that out.
Okay. Just sidle over there. A little bumps.
Yeah, and even near the base of this colony, I'm seeing branching at the node.
Come on in.
Video, are you happy with the lighting?
Oh. Some
So
bare
these
branches
are really
or something.
interesting. Oh, so these look like, yeah, branches that have lost their polyps. Thought it might be an associate or some sort of brittle star, but it's actually part of the coral itself. This branch has lost its polyps, probably might have been fed on by something, or they just died out. But the colony seems to be doing pretty well.
We'll tilt down, see if there's any associates down here.
Is that the same thing over to the left?
Yeah, it looks like a whole bunch of